The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Fortune teller, fortune teller, fortune teller, can you see what my future's going to be? Can you see it all in your crystal ball? Have you got a dream for me? Fortune teller, is she free? Has she waited just for me?
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell, coming to you from our broadcast center and studio in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV. And if you would like to find out about the programming we have available for you 24/7, 365 on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit www.xzbn.net. My guest this hour is a fellow Ontarian, and it's so funny because Bobby Curtola, that we used on the intro of the song, his song Fortune Teller, is another Canadian. So this is Canada Hour here in the X-Zone. Katie Turner is my special guest. She's a sensitive psychic. She's the founder and lead paranormal investigator with the Canadian Supernatural Research Society. And she is a paranormal expert on Paranormal Survivor. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your experience in the paranormal, Katie.
Hi, Rob. Well, I've got many experiences. For my paranormal investigating, that was, it was ever since I was little, I've been able to see, feel, and hear and experience paranormal. And I really wanted to basically validate what I was seeing. So I developed a paranormal team, and we have been going out and trying to prove paranormal is out there. And so basically as a team, we go out and set up equipment. I take a reading of the location and pick up things psychically, and from there we try to validate it.
What kind of investigations have you done?
We have done private residences. We have done legendary places such as Buck Hill. Buck Hill Road's a very infamous road in Round Lake, Ontario. We've done businesses. We have done public places. We've investigated all over. It's limitless, basically.
And have you found evidence of the paranormal?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Every single time we get a piece of evidence, we're grinding our teeth to get something even better. And I think that's the same for any paranormal investigator. We always want the holy grail of evidence. And for me, it's more about validating what I see and perceive psychically and getting it on a physical basis. So, it's more of the communicative and figuring out why the spirits are there. We don't just like to quote unquote ghost hunt, but we really try to find out why the entities are haunting that said location or trying to make contact, basically.
So based on your experience and the number of investigations that you've done, why do those who have passed stick around?
There's many different theories. In my experience, many of them, if it was a traumatic event and death occurred because of that traumatic event, sometimes they don't know they were dead. In other cases, they have unfinished business. And, the preconceived notion of judgment, years and years and years ago, the Bible was a lot more strict in terms of following the religion, and people were very afraid of that judgment. And so when they went to cross over, they were afraid to, and so they stayed. And that's what I consider a ghost. It's a little bit different from a spirit, but it chooses to stay earthbound, and so they're going to stay as long as they can, basically.
So what's the difference between a ghost and a spirit?
Well, a ghost is an entity that has more earthbound visions. It's stuck here basically. So it hasn't crossed over. So we go through reincarnation processes, and we go through coming back onto Earth, and so basically these spirits only remember their past life. They only remember the last life that they have left. And as an entity going into a spirit or ascending onto the other side, they're going to kind of have an awakening, and they're going to remember the past lives that they've had. So they're basically ascending into a higher being. And so they're a lot more, I don't want to say intelligent, but they're that much more knowledgeable.
And how do you know this?
I've been told this many times from my guides and from all my experiences speaking through, and when I do readings for people, when they come through, they're telling me this. They're able to kind of explain to me a little bit about what the other side is like, and how things change over there, and how it's really not so different over there. And so through all of our investigations and our experiences over and over and over again, we're finding that these entities they're earthbound for a reason, and they're stuck on things.
Okay, they're stuck on things. They're earthbound for a reason. You get this information from the readings that you do for other people, as well as the information that you're given by your guides. So why the continuance of looking into the paranormal if you have your own belief based on the information that you've been given? Why do you still persist?
Because we want to help the entities. If you have a child that's still looking for their mother, and it's stuck through a loop, and it's living the same day in, day out, to me that's punishment. That's I don't want to call it torture, but I want to help these people cross over. And so when we go into investigations, that's our number one priority. A lot of other teams go out there and they just want to find evidence, period. We want to find out why the entities are there. And, then from there, do what we have to do to try to either help them cross over, or if they're negative entities, help them realize, what's happening, or basically, I don't want to call it banish, but get rid of any negative energy.
So how do you do that?
As far as a basic investigation, we would go in and set up equipment. And from there, we would spend, a few hours investigating. We have members on our team. I have a historian on my team, and I also have a technician that comes in and will do an interview. We find out, if it, in fact, it is haunted, or sometimes there's people with mental health issues. So we determine if there's activity at all. And from there, we would go in and do the investigation and determine whether it's residual or intelligent. And then based on the evidence that we get, based on the energy that I pick up, if we're able to assist them and let them know that it in fact is a little girl and not a demonic entity, then we would try and help them, explain that they can cross over and try and help them. If this is demonic or evil, then we would take steps necessary to get rid of that or try and exorcise it.
Where did you get your investigative skills?
Experience. I have had the pleasure of investigating with some pretty big ghost hunters and paranormal investigators, and I've had the experience and the ability to be with some pretty cool psychics, some really good, knowledgeable people. I've started reading and educating myself ever since I was, young. It never left me. Ever since I was in college, that bug never left me, and because I could see what I could see, I really wanted that validation. So I just continued to learn and continued to try and gain knowledge through experience.
Gotcha. How do you help somebody get to the other side? What is the process that you use?
Well, it's a pretty ignorant assumption to assume that, a piddly little human like myself can say, okay, it's time to jump over to the other side and assume that it happens. But we take steps necessary to explain that there's, that loved one is gone, to explain that there's no reason to stay, or if they're attached to an object, we try and cleanse the object, and basically try and make it so that they don't want to be here, that they want to cross over. And sometimes if it is a spirit and it's coming down, we want to find out why they're trying to give us messages, why they're trying to contact the family or the business or the location. And then once it's kind of explained and they understand, we can either cleanse the property or they are gone. All is well, and we've done our job.
But how would you cleanse the property?
There's many different methods. You can, within Catholicism, they use holy water, and they use many different things. It could be an exorcism or a blessing. In the Native American rituals, they do smudging. So that's one thing that we do. In a pagan ritual, we have pagan holy water and crystals, and there's things that you can do in that respect. It just basically depends on the type of haunting, the type of entity, and the vibes that we pick up while we're investigating.
But how do you know which process to use?
You know what? Experience and vibes.
All right.
Okay,
listen. I can understand experience. I can understand vibes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a couple of seconds. When we go back to, I've got to take a commercial break. I'd like to know how you get these impressions. Which vibes are which? And how do you know which ritual to use? Because our listeners don't know, and I'm sure they'd like to know.
Okay, cool.
All right, stand by. We'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. My name is Rob McConnell. Don't go away. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone broadcast network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV. Plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
We live in rapidly shifting times of extreme volatility and uncertainty. Such profound change brings a unique opportunity for the evolution of consciousness. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, host of Mission Evolution Radio Show, a program that explores the latest scientific developments and deepening spiritual truths supporting human evolution. Join me on xzbn.net, where I interview leading experts in science, physics, medicine, spirituality, and more. By applying divergent viewpoints to leading-edge topics, we uncover expansive and evolutionary truth to assist you on your path to enlightenment. More information and past episodes are available at missionevolution.org.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to send us an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV. And for the broadcast schedule of the X Zone Broadcast Network, 7/24/365 on radio, television, and satellite, www.xzbn.net. My guest this hour is Katie Turner, and their website is www.katieturnerpsychic.com. All right, Katie, why I asked you how you do what you do is because I'm sure our listeners would be very interesting how you get your psychic impressions, or however you do it, to know which sort of procedure to use to either help the spirit get back to the other side, or to exorcise and cleanse the property that is haunted.
Well, I've been blessed with many different antennas, I call it. And there's thousands of psychic antennas, or psychic ways. I have been blessed with 5 of them. Clairaudience, which is hearing; clairvoyance, which is seeing; clairescence is smelling; claircognizance, which is the clearance of knowing, or the act of you clear knowing; and empathic abilities. So whether it be physical or metaphoric. And when we go into a location, whether it be a reading or an investigation, I immediately start receiving pictures and images and smells and emotions and all sorts of things. And from there, that's how I kind of metabolize it and decipher it. So as soon as I go into a location, if I can feel that it's dark and heavy, and I feel that it's oppressed, or I can feel the negative connotation to it, that's how we're going to proceed with the investigation. Sometimes if I tell my team, whoa, be careful, I really don't, I don't feel good from here. And we may be in a typical investigation where they say there's knocks and bangs and doors are moving, and that's all they're seeing. But if I feel worse, then I'm gonna proceed with caution. And from there, I basically allow the information to come in. I act as a conduit, and I try to decipher what they're trying to tell me. Sometimes we're scratched. Sometimes we're bitten. Sometimes there's things thrown at us, and not all of which can be evil. I tell people sometimes that it can be somebody just trying to get your attention. Not every knock is evil, or every door slam is negative. And so from there, once we're completing our investigation and the vibes come and I'm able to communicate or touch base with these entities, that's when we're going to base an opinion on what we have to do next. And, there was a case earlier in the year that was demonic. It had already been investigated by a prior team. It had already been blessed by a priest. I had the diocese involved. We had meetings with the churches. And from there, the bishop was basically going to be getting involved. And so we had gone in and we investigated, and sure enough, it was attacking us, and it was doing some pretty nasty things. And we had determined by that point, not only from my psychic impressions, but what it was doing to us physically, that it certainly didn't want us here. It had broke this woman's legs. It had, it pushed her down the stairs. It did many things that really were obvious signs that it was negative. And from there, we did what we had to do, and we exorcised it. We cleansed the property, and we were able to get rid of it. In other times, we'll go into an investigation, and I'll say to them, it's just your Aunt Ada. She really doesn't want to leave, and if you don't, and once they realize that it's not somebody evil, or it's not a negative oppressed entity, that it's really a family member, they don't want them to leave. They're okay with it. So it's basically making the clients aware of what's there and making them more comfortable. And from there, if they want it to leave, then we'll do a cleansing, and we do what we have to do, whether it be a Catholic ritual or a Native American ritual. And what we're receiving is I'm receiving the information. For example, we did one in Golden Lake, Ontario, which was on a native reserve, and it was a native entity. And so we used respectful Native American rituals to be able to expel it, and it worked.
Under what theological authority do you have to use a Roman Catholic rite?
I don't, but we go through, I don't want to say I don't, but I go through the necessary channels and the necessary people to be able to call them in to come in and cleanse the house. So there's demonologists. We know I speak with a priest on a normal basis, regular basis, and he's able to come in and help if we need assistance.
Now, are these real priests or internet priests?
They are real priests.
And how about the demonologists? Are they real demonologists or internet demonologists?
Real. We do our homework. We make sure that we know what we're going into, and to ask for references is kind of thought of as funny, but we make sure that they have experience and they know what they're getting into.
How can a person know who to trust if they truly believe that they are being haunted with all the charlatans, all the hoaxsters, all the frauds that are out there claiming to be quote unquote paranormal investigators?
I think you have to do your homework. And you have to, number one, never accept money. If people are going to charge you for an investigation, in my opinion, we do this out of labor of love. Each one of us are very dedicated, and we want to go in to help these people. It's not just about getting evidence. We really want to help and make these people's lives better, or at least get back to normal. And I think that you really got to do your homework. So, if somebody has a K2 meter and they claim to be an investigator, to me, that's not good enough. You really need to do your homework. We have many references, and we have years of experience, combined years of experience. We're constantly we're trying to learn more all the time. It's not as if we just kind of have some gadgets and we go in and hope for the best. We're always striving to get better.
Okay, so you go in with all these gadgets, the newest technology that's available, and you come across ghosts, you come across spirits, and why would a demon attach themselves to a house? And what does a person have to do to be demonized?
Well, the number one thing is invitation. So demonic entities normally won't attach unless there's some sort of an invitation, whether it be conscious or subconscious. And they don't just all of a sudden appear. They're going to slowly make themselves more attached to you. They're going to start manipulating your thoughts. They can appear as young children. They can appear in many different forms. And from there, they almost develop this attachment. And so it makes it harder for the person who is possessed or even, manipulated to want to get rid of it. And so it's basically what they're doing is they're eating off of the person's energy, and fear is one of the major ways that they can feed off of it. So they're going to continue to try and frighten you to feed off of that.
Okay, so how do you get rid of a demon?
Again, there's what I would do if in the situation, I go ahead and I went and contacted the church. We had meetings within the church. The head priest knew about it, and the bishop knew about it, and we were given the proper things to say. We were given the proper rights. We had somebody come in with us, and from there we were able to perform an exorcism. In other situations, if it's Native American, we called the correct band members to come in and assist us with it. I have a demonologist on speed dial, so if I have to get a hold of her, I can get a hold of her. And we also network with other paranormal teams. So, we are never going to know everything. I'm never going to know everything, and I'm not afraid to ask if I'm in too deep. And so we will ask for help, and we network.
How do you know if it's a legitimate case of haunting or if it is a mental issue?
Again, we'll go into the location and we will do an interview and assess the situation, assess what they're suggesting is happening. We will ask for, if they can provide proof. They'll say they've had a video or, they can show us evidence. We try and go from that. But we basically try and we give it a good go. We don't want people to feel that they're afraid to ask for help. I think it's becoming mainstream and less people are afraid to ask, but that taboo is still there. People are going to think I'm crazy. So we go and we kind of ask for other witnesses or other conversations that have been talked about and go from there.
But if it is a mental health issue, what do you do?
In the case of a mental health issue, what I do is I offer some spiritual guidance, and I offer a card of, we work in the Renfrew County. So if we're in that county, for example, I will offer a number for some help, or I will offer to be their ear, and they can, it'll come out in the wash. They'll start talking about it or what's going on. And during our interview, we're also going to ask, we tell them right at the beginning of the interview, there's going to be a couple questions. Please don't be offended. We ask them to all of our clients. There's certain things. Have you ever? And from there, if they admit to that, right then and there, we kind of know which direction to take them, and we try to help them right to the end. There was one girl that thought that she was being haunted, and she began cutting herself, and it really was a mental health issue. I was able to get her into a rehab, and she keeps in contact to this day. So, whether it's paranormal or not, if we can help these people, we're going to.
All right, stand by. We've got to take our break for the news at the bottom of the hour. Explanation, Katie Turner's our guest. She is with the Canadian Supernatural Research Society. Her website is katieturnerpsychic.com, and we'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. We're coming to you around the world tonight on the X Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, and iHeartRadio. Don't go away.
Broadcast studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, to the world and beyond. You're watching the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
AVS Media Den.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
Anytime at all. Just look into my eyes. I'll be there to make you feel right. If you're feeling sorry and sad, I'd really sympathize. Don't you be sad, just call me tonight. Anytime at all.
Katie Turner's our guest of this hour, Exonation. Her website is katieturnerpsychic.com. Katie, I've got to ask you this question. When you're dealing with a mental health case, and you start getting involved and giving counsel, no matter what degree it is, aren't you kind of overstepping the boundaries where professional help should be immediately called in?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think I'm overstepping. So let me clarify. Basically, I would sit down with them and explain to them that, we think this is a case of a mental health issue. And we're very honest and open. And we kind of give them avenues to go to and people to talk to and let them know that they're not alone, that, whether it be a hospital or a rehab center or something. I mean, I'm not certainly playing the shrink or, playing a doctor. That's definitely over my role. But I'm giving them an ear to listen to. And if I can give them 5 minutes and let them know that I'm listening and that I'm willing to point them in the right direction and point them in a place that can help them, certainly, that's not me, but I can point them in that direction, that I think that's giving them hope and that's giving them somewhere to go.
What are the first signs a person would see and feel if their home was haunted?
There are many, 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 many different symptoms or things that can occur. One of the typical symptoms or typical symptoms of a haunting would be, doors moving, feeling like you're being watched, things moving, lights flickering. So it doesn't always have to be paranormal, but sometimes, lights flickering or electrical interference, sounds. So hearing movement or hearing talking, stuff like that.
How can a spirit or a ghost who has no physical mass, no physical features whatsoever, how can they move matter that is solid, such as a door, a window? How can they create footsteps?
I think it comes down to an expulsion of energy. Energy cannot be destroyed. It is manipulated or changed. And I think they're able to use that force, and they're able to create sound, create movement, create things. I go back to a radio. If you don't hear a radio unless you have a conduit or a stereo with an antenna capturing those radio frequencies, or whether it be digital or whatever, but you have to have a conduit. And that doesn't mean that the radio waves are not there. And so once they're able to manipulate that energy, you can physically hear it in a tangible world.
But there's a difference between a radio wave that cannot create a physical pattern.
Right.
In order, so what you're saying doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I look at it like they're able to manipulate the electromagnetic frequencies. They're able to use that to manipulate, to make sound, to make movement, it's an physical and emotional expulsion of energy at the time. So it may not be physical in a human form or a tangible physical form, but they're able to use that to make things physically move.
Has this been proven, or is this just a hypothesis?
This would, I don't think it's ever going to be, at least I'm never going to be able to physically prove that. I'm working on that every single day. And that's one of my goals is to try and gain as much evidence through that. When I do my readings and when I, speak to people and communicate with the other side, I get more every day. And so they give me little tidbits. And again, I work towards as much as I can to learn more and to capture it.
Okay. Why do you think in the year 2018 people are still interested in ghosts? Like, what's the attraction?
I think it is the unknown. We are all wanting to prove the unknown. We are all wanting to learn more, to understand more. I mean, if you think about many years ago on the other side of the world, they thought, and we all thought at that time that the world ended, and we never thought about this side of the world at that time. Our world was so small. And now through evolution and through us becoming more knowledgeable and more progressed, now we think about both sides of the world. And I think it just comes through more knowledge. Knowledge is power. The more that we can learn and the more that we can figure out, I think that that's what we're trying to do, is prove what we can't see.
To what end, though?
I don't think there's ever going to be an end. I really don't. I think that we always have that natural inclining to figure it out. And at least for myself, I can't speak for everybody else, but I just want to learn more. I'm like a sponge. I want to absorb as much as I can. And it's not to prove anybody else. It's to prove to myself that I know what I'm seeing. And through validation of my readings and my investigations, it really makes me feel fulfilled that I'm able to predict or see or feel or in terms of the investigations, help these people and let them know that, Uncle Henry is there and he's okay. And I think that that's what brings people back every time.
If this was so relevant to society, why is not the scientific community getting involved? Why is it looked at by scholars and the great thinkers of our time as to be a waste of time?
Scientists, like many other people, it's their form of opinion. They're looking for I don't want to call it a mathematical equation, and I'm certainly not trying to cause an argument, but they have their version of evidence, just like we have our version of evidence. And I think that you're always going to see a difference of opinion. I'm not here to prove the scientists wrong, and I'm sure that they're not here to prove that we're wrong, but they're looking for something tangible. And at least in my experience, it's not, we look for a physical, tangible piece of evidence, and we can't even 100% claim that the equipment we use is in fact paranormal. But we're one step closer all the time, and I think that there are more and more scientists are kind of bending a little bit and are going, okay, there's something here. Can I say it's spirit? No, but there is definitely something there. And I think that that's why it's becoming kind of a more widely talked about subject.
Or is it because it's becoming a cottage industry? It's being used by cities, towns, locations as a way to get tours and tourism and money into the local coffers.
Oh, I agree with you. I agree with you to a certain extent. I reside in a smaller town, and I can tell you that in our area, I did real estate for years, and it was something that wanted to be hidden for so long because people were afraid of being thought of as crazy, or they didn't want things to be let out that it was haunted or things like that. But I do agree with you with the shift. It is bringing people in. It is like any television show, not all of them, but there are ones out there that it's all about Hollywood and it's about ratings, and it's about bringing people in. So that excitement is what's bringing to me mainstream in and wanting more.
But is that right?
No. In my opinion, not necessarily, no. I think that we need to be experiencing this stuff and investigating this stuff and taking it very seriously. I mean, it's like, a spirit board or a Ouija board. A lot of people think that it's just a common game, but what they don't understand is, I explain it to people like a screen door in the summer. If you live in the country and you open that door, how many flies came into your house when you open that door? You don't know what you're bringing in. So I think it comes down to knowledge and experience, and people bite off more than they can chew sometimes. I'm not afraid to say I don't know, but I will find somebody who does. And these people, these television shows are maybe sensationalizing it and bringing people in and having people who are not experienced, and this is where danger can happen.
Why is there so much difference in the way the paranormal community thinks? For example, I've had many people on the show who say the Ouija board is nothing but a board, and these are paranormal investigators. You get other people on who say, oh, it opens up a channel to the other side. You talk to some paranormal investigators about investigations of, let's say, Company A. You talk to another group of paranormal investigators about Company of the A, and they say, oh, we've gone there and there's nothing. So, for the paranormal community and the paranormal genre to have credibility, they need to get their crap together.
I agree. And you have a bunch of personalities and a bunch of people who have all different opinions. And I mean, even in the science community, there are arguments. I mean, for many years they thought that the world was flat.
Yes,
For many years they
you,
thought,
you really can't put the paranormal community in the same category as the scientific community. That you just can't do that.
Well, I'm not saying it's in the same category, but what I'm saying is there's differences of opinion. It's certainly not apples to apples, but it is a difference in opinion. Let's face it, a Ouija board or spirit board is basically a piece of wood with a planchette.
Yep.
Right? When we look at it, it looks like a game and it was developed for children. But I think it's the active intent. The active intent is huge for me. It's the same as power of prayer. I have seen prayer do wonderful things for many people, and it's the conviction behind the belief that makes it powerful. And I think that it comes down to the Ouija board. If you're not going to take things seriously, and that's no criticism, but some people just leave it off as a game, and I guess that's okay. But I think when you're going into a place that a very well-known haunted place or a place of negative energy, and you're going to start toying with things, I really think you're going to be seeing results, and it's not always a positive one.
All right, stand by. I've got to take my final break. Exo Nation. Our guest this hour is Katie Turner. Her website is katieturnerpsychic.com. I'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
The new nonfiction book, Razor of Madness, is similar to cult movies like Clockwork Orange, Dragon's Tattoo, or The Other Side of Hell. Wayne Morin Jr. and Thomas Lee Howe will expose widespread and systematic deficiencies in this thought-provoking tell-all novel. Mind control rages among scholars in law schools. Human rights are ignored while thought reform and mental manipulation are accepted practices used as behavior modification. Dr. Louis Jolyon West comes to mind. Media and public scrutiny shows that United States mental hospitals are in fact destructive murder industries. Razor of Madness expose novel details this epidemic through an in-depth professional and personal investigation. For decades, there has been a revolving door policy that still releases killers and pedophiles back into society. The maestro of mind control continues to haunt America to this very day. Razor of Madness is available in paperback or as a downloadable ebook at Amazon.com.
The concept of a new age has been around since the late 19th century, yet much of its original meaning has been lost. What exactly is the new age? Is it a religion, a collection of obscure esoteric practices, a series of doomsday predictions, or an astrological event? The New Age Chronicles is a unique, complementary publication bringing reason and grounded information to separate fact from fiction. Chock full of valuable information to support you as we make the monumental shift into the new era. You won't want to miss a single innovative issue. The New Age Chronicles newspaper is coming soon to www.newagechronicles.com.
Katie Turner's our guest. Her website is katieturnerpsychic.com. Katie, as I understand it, based on our conversation, when you go out with your group to do an investigation, you use your psychic gifts as a tool to kind of establish what type of paranormal activity you're going to be encountering. Am I correct?
Yes.
What would happen if you did not go into that location, but you let your crew go in and do the investigation first? Would the results be the same?
I don't think any results are ever going to be, once or twice the same. But I can tell you that we have experimented with that. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say shut it off, but when I go into an investigation, I go in and get my vibes, and then from there, I try and be the investigator and not the psychic. So I kind of try and dampen down my senses and use the equipment and investigate, the same way as all the other people on my team. We have done some investigations where I have either not been to the location or I have stayed outside of the location. And I like to think on the equipment that we get the same results. Most of my team members have sensitivity. So, one can pick up on smells, one can pick up on, is able to receive images. And so from there, they all kind of develop their own opinions. And you know what, as a team, we'll sit down after the investigation and we all give our interpretations on things. I'm not kind of, my way is the right way, but I at least try and make it so that I can give a little offer, a big piece to the puzzle.
Before you said a person's belief plays a major part in life, basically. So is it possible that the belief of you or your team that the place is haunted based on the feeling, the psychic impression that the place is investigated as if it is haunted, where it very well might not be haunted?
I think that when you're hypertensive about things and you're hypervigilant, when you're going in and you have these expectations, at any time you're gonna pick up on imprints. And so I do find it hard. I'm going to be honest with you. I have left the interviewing and I've left the research to the rest of my team, and I try not to hear any information because I want to go in with a fresh mind. I don't want any preconceived notions. I don't want any information. And it's the same with a reading. When I set readings up for people or any cleansings, I don't ask for any information. So all I want is your name and basically your phone number, and we go from there. And I leave the interview process to my other team members just for that specific reason. But yes, absolutely. I think it comes down to what you believe and what you don't believe. We have been to investigations that were supposed to be terrifically haunted, and we didn't receive anything. Now, do you say you don't believe these people, or do you leave it up to lack of evidence?
I'm a former police investigator. I was trained in police work, the gathering of evidence, the information needed to actually get to the bottom of a crime, how to preserve the evidence, how to do a proper interview. They just don't say you're hired as a cop, give you a gun and badge, and put you in a police car and away you go. There's a training period. You're taught by professionals before you even hit the streets.
Absolutely.
So as I have seen in the past, what is called a paranormal investigation, at the very best could be called a paranormal hootenanny. So this is where my line of questioning comes as to the credibility and the validation and the collection of so-called evidence.
Well, basically, again, I take you back to the beginning of the investigation. So we'll conduct a very significant interview, and we've got select questions from down to how long have you lived in the residence, who owns the residence, where any historical events have taken place, anything that would relate to things. And the interview lasts about 20 minutes to a half an hour. From there, we're going to set up our equipment. Now, each one of my members have been trained to use the equipment properly, and it's not just this is how it turns on. I have specific people. I have somebody who is a historian. I have somebody who is a tech specialist. I have someone who is in communications and radio, and I have somebody who is a construction tech. So, when we go into a location, if you're hearing bumps and grinds and movement in the floor, he actually will assess the floor and make sure that it is indeed, not a bad foundation.
But the fact that he's there as part of a paranormal team, doesn't that taint any of the investigative findings or lack of investigative findings? Why don't you bring in an outside source like a city inspector, a city engineer?
Well, these people, this gentleman basically acted like that, and there is no limit. We will bring people in. Like I said in the one investigation, with the quote unquote demonic feelings that this woman had, I was like, okay, this is over my head. Yeah. I want to make sure that making sure that I'm setting the correct steps necessary to help these people. It's not just about collecting evidence for us. It's not about the hootenanny, as you call it, to go in and have the excitement of the investigation. If it comes down to mental health, like I said, we will send them in the right direction. And we're not afraid to contact the city, to contact the police, now, it's usually pretty tight-lipped, but we'll do what's necessary to make sure that we can get as much information necessary. Now, in terms of going in and collecting the evidence, we take as many precautions necessarily so that we don't have cross contamination. It's not like we have a bunch of people at the residence, or we ask children, animals, things to be removed. We put up the proper things necessary so that there's no light coming in. I mean, we do the best that we can to make sure that we're getting a solid, significant investigation.
So, do you do all your investigations at night? Do you do them during the day, or is it a cross-spectrum timing that you do the investigations?
It will be a cross-spectrum timing. We have gone to investigations where we've started in the daylight and ended in the daylight. So we went all night. There's times where we'll ask the people when the evidence is starting to happen. So when these haunting events are occurring, we'll ask, when's a significant time that you find? And every investigation is different. Some may say it's midnight. Some may say there's no relevance. It just happens. And some people say 3 a.m. every night. It occurs at the same time every night. So we take each investigation, individually.
How many of the cases that you've worked on are because they want their 15 minutes of fame?
Believe it or not, not that many. A lot of people that we contact, I'll whether it be myself, the initial contact is me, and I pass it on to the communications rep or the person interviewing. And basically we will, from there, that's when they're going to ask the questions. And a lot of times, they'll say, like, part of our interview process is we have some legal forms that are filled out, and, it's just confidentiality and public release information. And a lot of them want it kept confidential. They do not, under any circumstances, want their name shown.
So if that's the case, how can anybody else validate the claims that you're making if there's a confidentiality agreement in place, and a person who wants to validate what you're saying about a certain place, a certain event, how can that be validated?
We are able to, when we do our interview, again, there's certain levels of confidentiality. So, for example, our public release of information, we can do a public release where there's no address. It would be suggested as a private residence, and, we say client instead of the person's name. In other circumstances, we ask permission if it has been investigated with another paranormal team, or we bring other paranormal teams in to help out. Again, we're constantly networking. And if there's a team down south that is getting a call from a team up north, and we're close, and we're, we each kind of network that way, they're going to send it to us. So we're able to kind of validate. And sometimes it has been investigated before, and we try to find that other team and kind of cross correlate to see what they have received.
How many cases did you guys work on last year?
Oh my goodness. I can't even count. 2 or 3 a month.
Why is your part of the world so haunted?
To be honest with you, we travel. So it's not just,
So you guys go looking for trouble. Go looking for ghosts.
Pretty much.
Why?
We're pretty lucky where we live. It's not a metropolis, but it's a widespread area. And so we like to tell people that we go across Ontario, Eastern Ontario and Quebec. And so, I think that there's more haunting than investigators. So, we're called, and we're, I guess, in demand.
All right. I want to thank you very much for joining us tonight. It's been a rather unique visit. Oh, boy. What can I tell you, Exo Nation? Let's see, on a scale of 1 to 10, credibility, 2 at the very most. That's because she's enthusiastic, that's for sure. Do I give anyone who's a psychic the benefit of the doubt when it comes to paranormal investigations? Definitely not. Do I give anyone who has not received the proper education in collecting evidence any credibility? Not at all. What really upsets me is that you have people who are chasing ghosts, who are giving psychiatric or psychological sit-downs with people and telling them that it's a mental issue. That is not up to them whatsoever. They're not professionals. They're amateurs. They're wannabes. And they're part of what I call the paranormal hootenanny. We'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Are you or is someone you know struggling with addictions, depression, anxiety, relationships, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, grief, success, and prosperity? Do you know that your subconscious belief plays a big role in the outcome of your hard work? We can help you permanently change the beliefs that may be the reason for your struggles and failures. We care about getting you the return on your investment and the results you are looking for. We can help you be free of the limitations of your past and in realizing your highest potential. We work with people by phone and Skype. For more information, visit us at www.ritasoman.com. That's www.ritasoman.com. Do you think you have energy problems in your home? Do you feel better when you're away than when you're home? Joey Korn is a global leader in the world of dowsing who specializes in personal energy clearing and space clearing. He can help you create an ideal energy environment in your home no matter where you live in the world. Learn about his remote spiritual house cleaning services and much more at www.dowsers.com. You can get Joey's book, Dowsing, A Path to Enlightenment, as well as other dowsing books and tools, Kabbalah books, and Walter Russell books. Joey's work is really amazing. Go to dowsers.com right now. That's DOWSERS.com or call 1-877-DOWSING. That's 1-877-369-7464.